We are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us on Facebook and YouTube. Don't forget to go find us on Instagram and Twitter. And don't forget to check out our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com.
You're like shot out of a cannon today.
Woohoo! Because we are live.
Why are you so excited?
I'm trying to be excited for the show, babe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm being excited. Okay. We have many things to talk about today. We have a good variety, which I like when we have the shows with lots of variety.
Never touch me.
Lots of variety and different things to talk about. So there's something for everyone in today's episode. Oh, what we first need to go do is share it.
Nobody done that.
Well, you're better than me.
I'm aware of that as well.
Okay, we're live.
These are all factual statements.
I know. Write a post. Oops. Come watch our show. Okay. Sabini, what are you doing? Got to check on these dogs. Sabine was the most excited for today's show. She got in here first. She grabbed her seat on the couch and she was ready. So there you go. All right. That is done. I shall turn all these things off. Turn off sounds. What's
figure
wrong?
out what this person's asking me. So somebody that they got a lot of followers, so
Okay.
I'll have to respond to them later because they responded to my Bad Guys review I posted. They said, since you like movies, how about Willy Wonka? And I don't.
You like Willy Wonka?
I love Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Is that what you're asking?
So I don't know. I'm confused by this conversation because it came out of nowhere and had nothing to do with that. So I'm just trying.
Did you mention anything in the review?
No.
Huh.
That's why I'm confused by the conversation. But I'll get back to that person later.
Okay, so what do we want to talk about first? Here are your options.
I don't need options. You tell me what you
want.
All
right. Well, let's talk with. Didn't this come out a few weeks ago? Are we late, or is it? No, that was new this week.
The Bad Guys just came out. It's like on week 2 or 3.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
You guys.
It's still like number 1 this week, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It won't be next week.
What comes
or this week?
What comes out this week?
Doctor Strange comes out this week.
Oh, so that little thing.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about that.
I agree.
Okay, so we got to talk about this movie right here called The Bad Guys.
Not to be confused with Bad Boys.
So Bad Boys, which we'll never see again because you go around slapping people you shouldn't.
I don't know because Michael Bay said I still work with him, so maybe
maybe
we'll
he
see
will.
What happens.
All right, so this movie is about a group of bad guys, and they're basically like your predator animals, and they're a gang that work together, and they do heists. They're essentially the animal version of like Ocean's 11, kind of, because they have like the George Clooney leader guy. They have the real guy that's just crazy and out there. But so basically it's wolf, shark, snake, tarantula, and piranha. So it's a group of just these predatory animals, and everybody just automatically assumes they're bad. And guess what? They kind of are.
And I mentioned last week as the show ended, if you didn't say it, I'll say it again, that the furry community is in uproar about this movie because they're apparently very hot for Mr. Wolf. So before we talk about the movie itself, I want to address that situation. What do you, after seeing the film, and I know we're not furries.
Correct.
I mean, as far as I know, she's not.
No. I'm okay with whatever.
I know you're not a furry, but can you see what all the hubbub about for them is based on this movie?
Yes. I'm telling you, the wolf is very George Clooney. He's like that guy. He's like suave and debonair, and he's got like this cool look, and his eyes are very penetrating, and his little tails are waggling and fluffy.
Are you sure you're not a furry?
Yeah. Okay. No, but I'm just saying, so I can get it. I mean, I don't get it, but I could maybe understand why. Because I was thinking about that during the movie.
You're like, I get it. I don't get it, but I
don't personally get it or feel it, but I think I can understand why.
This is the time I need Alcon because we have people there that we know or that are
furries.
I
had to picture
that I would like to ask them their thoughts at that moment. Maybe I'll email the wolf.
Let's send up some messages.
Because I have an email for the wolf guy. Maybe I'll.
So I wonder if he was excited because it's a wolf character.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think who's your favorite character? Because I have a favorite.
Technically, the gerbil. Oh, not gerbil. He's a guinea pig.
Guinea pig.
I like him the most just because I love his voice.
Yeah.
And Richard Ayoade is just funny all the time anyway. And I know you don't know who that is.
I don't.
He's hilarious. But if I had to go by the main team,
Yeah.
I'm in a toss up between the piranha and the shark.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I like Tarantula.
Well, I figured I think
But
we
I
like
think
it for different reasons.
I like
though.
Aquafina, who
She's
does
great.
the voice of that. But what I like is Tarantula's like beast mode, and she does this, and all 8 of her little tentacles,
Yeah,
her little legs
that
are
was
like.
one of the things that I really. This movie is awesome, but this one of the things I liked about it is these little details.
So good.
Like we're used to most animated features being super detailed nowadays.
Yeah.
But it's those little ones that the average viewer may not even notice that didn't even need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't change the movie in any way, but if you see it, you're like, oh, that's clever. And,
yeah.
And it's stuff like using the legs and the more the computer. Like, I want to know who manufactures a computer that small. That's what I want to talk to. But
the tarantula community.
But there's a moment too where in the car she has her own seat.
So
in the
you
car
see where
she's
dashboard. Sitting. She sits there on the dashboard. That's
there's
her
only
seats.
like I think one scene that it shoots like a close up of her, at least that I caught, and there's a little tiny seatbelt on it as well.
Well, you see it in a couple of scenes,
on,
like blowing in the breeze here. But at one point, when they put on, like everybody puts their seatbelts on, she has a seatbelt there on her dashboard chair.
She's got a little tiny seatbelt clip thing, and it's like hilarious. I'm like, oh my god, that is genius.
Yeah.
And the one of the main characters that's not part of the gang, which is the guinea pig, his voice has kind of like a speech impediment, lisp,
like a little lisp,
if you will. And they actually had the tongue. Like animating the way he's talking, which they didn't need to do that technically. They could have made his voice and nobody would have ever questioned it.
Correct.
But you see him when he's talking, his tongue kind of comes out like that sometimes.
Yeah, it's
and it
cute.
It's so awesome the way they made it look.
And I think my other favorite is
this is a steelbook and it was stuck to my magnet on the side of my
computer. Gosh. I think my other favorite was the snake. Because at one point he puts on a little costume and little fake arms that are like this and a little top hat.
I didn't know if you heard me say that because I was like, I elbow jug. Look at his little arms. He's walking.
Because it was essentially, it reminded me of the little arms you stick on Potato Head.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just like this. So he's walking and he's like, hello.
I was kind of concerned because I thought the trailers it looked fun and interesting, but I wasn't sure how I felt about the animation.
Yeah.
And
it
very
was
much
good.
like the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. When I saw the trailers for that, I wasn't sure how I felt it because sometimes it felt blurry, sometimes it felt off, and I was like, is it going to be just too chaotic and annoying? And that ended up being brilliant.
Yeah.
This one is as well. I think the visuals, the color palettes, everything works, and I like that every character in this movie, which you might say, well, that's every movie, but it's really not, especially in animated features. They all had a very unique look, personality. They all stand out as like, I could actually watch a movie with any of these individual characters without them together. They would lose that magic because being together in their arguments and the stuff they deal with is fun, but they're interesting by themselves.
Correct.
Which is where a lot of animated features go wrong, is they have a whole bunch of characters that they all feel like you've seen them before. And these characters are all ones when you first glance, you're like, well, I've seen a wolf before. I've seen a snake before, and different things. But there's just different things about it that make them pop.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's the voice work, but the animation works really well. Right out the gate, you see some of it in the trailer. There's a car chase that is just phenomenally done. It makes you like, I'll watch this whole movie just for this sequence.
It looked like a real car chase.
Yeah.
I mean, it was no question or like, oh, that looked weird. I mean, there's even one point where I told you kind of at the end where the car comes by and like smoke is billowing and just how they did the cloud of smoke. Yeah. It looks really good. It's not.
This might be one of my favorite animated features to come out in a while.
I really like this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would.
Right now, this was lingering into my top 10 of the year.
I was going to say, this is like a really good, funny movie.
Like I love Turning Red, and I love these movies.
Oh,
those are different kinds of animated.
I've watched TurningRed 5 times.
Well, yeah, but you watched it with a grandchild.
She loves it.
You weren't watching it by yourself.
I would watch it by myself. She's like 365 days.
But I love those movies. It's just this one is, again, like I keep going back to Spider-Verse because that's what it reminds me of. Is it stands out is even though the story and the stuff they do is very familiar. And it's not hard to figure out what's going to happen and where it's going and all that kind of stuff. There's yes, there's some twists and turns in it, but I knew every one of them was going to happen. Like as soon as when you get to the end and you see some betrayal, I immediately like, okay, something's going to happen here in some way because it's been done billions of times.
Yeah.
But the visuals to this, the characters, the color palette that's just very yellowy.
That's why I did this background. Yeah.
It has a very California vibe to it.
Totally, yes.
And I would actually watch this movie numerous times. I'm really hoping because it did really well. I don't know if it did well to the standpoint of like major success, even though I know that's kind of a sleeper hit kind of thing. And the box offices are hard to read right now because if they'll make $1 billion in like a Marvel movie or something like that, it almost seems like a failure compared to what we had before the pandemic.
Correct.
But this, if I'm not mistaken, this is based on a series of books. So I'm hoping this isn't the last time we see the bad guys.
Oh, I hope not. And I hope the grandkid likes it so we can watch it over and over again.
So who is your favorite
non-bad guy character?
Because there's a few. There's a chief of police. There's the mayor. Funny. There's the guinea pig character. There's one other one, I think, in there.
Yeah. I kind of like the mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I thought she's kind of
cute
looking, the little fox.
She was fine and fit. She was probably my least favorite character in the
movie.
Only because I think she just felt she has her own thing, which made her stand out a little bit later on. But you
like the police chief?
I love her. She was so funny because she's just crazed and
crazy.
She reminded me of every police captain from every action 80s movie. That was in the thing, always yelling at the detective and smashing the desk. Yeah. But in this case, she's obsessed with catching the bad guys.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love this movie.
I loved it. It was great. I didn't know it was going to be this fun. It was fun.
Yeah, and I was really wanting to see this movie, but at the same time, I was kind of like, I'll see it when you see it.
And then I was concerned because the people next to us didn't laugh or anything. Like they were so quiet.
That old lady and the
weird.
little girl.
Yes.
They were too busy eating an entire
pound
of popcorn.
That lady ate that entire bucket thing of popcorn that you get at Alamo Drafthouse, which is like a big bowl.
Returned to Alamo Drafthouse
for the first time. Yeah, this was our first visit after
2 years.
Pandemic.
We've been going to movies, but then Alamo opened later. And
kind of leery because they changed the menu.
Yeah, and it was hard to justify paying for Alamo when you have the AMC Stubs thing that we're paying per month. And ironically, right before the pandemic, they had just given me the beta test version of the Alamo season pass. And now we're debating, do we want to buy that because how often? Because that's $20 a month, which is worth it with the amount of times we go to the movies. But are we going to go to the Alamo that often?
And to the other.
And AMC.
Yeah, no.
So especially now that they're still streaming a lot more stuff.
Well, because with Alamo, you can watch a movie every single day.
Yeah, well, so the other one you only watch 3 days a week, but we can't. Prior to if we had our old schedule, then we could probably go every day. We can't go every day anymore.
I know.
The 3 days a week is pushing it.
And not the problem, but the thing that happens at Alamo's, you're like, well, I'm here, I might as well eat something. So it ends up costing you more.
Yeah,
because of the whole food thing.
Yeah, because we had to pay for tickets and we ate, and somebody got a little excitable with food. And so then now $50-$60 later, you have an entire meal, which is fine because if you think about going to a movie and then going out to eat, it's kind of the same. But
that's why we went. It was
but
just
the kind of food you get for the price is not really what we could have spent that same money and gone to to Brazilian steakhouse or something.
Correct. That's true for the whole.
Not as much that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
because I also donated $3 to the World Kitchen Feeding Hunger thing.
At where?
At Alamo.
What the hell? I didn't authorize that.
I felt compelled. Anyway, check out The Bad Guys. It is so good. You're gonna like it. I will say
I didn't have that many problems hearing it, but I think that's because our theaters are so much smaller.
They're loud.
They're loud and they're smaller. Or at least this one was.
This one was, and we were right in the corner by a speaker.
So I was a little concerned because I didn't know if they had the hearing. I'm assuming they do, but I didn't know if they had the hearing enhancements things. I just decided not to ask because we're running a little bit late. But anyway, The Bad Guys in theaters now. You should check it out. It's fun for the whole family, but this is one of those that really works better for adults than kids.
Correct.
Like kids can enjoy it, and it's got a ton of stuff for kids, but there's jokes and stuff that adults get more. It's not the little kiddie movie that adults might tolerate. This one felt like this is more of an older kid.
Adult.
But everybody can watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Do you want to talk about this?
Sure, why not?
All right,
next. So the next one is one that's hitting Blu-ray or just hit Blu-ray in the DVD.
It did. I have it right here.
It's the latest from the master of disaster himself, Roland Emmerich, who most of you know that he did Stargate, he did Godzilla, he did Universal Soldier, he did 2012 or whatever that movie was, the one about the
I just know there were floods and stuff.
He did The Day After Tomorrow, which is one about the snow thing or whatever.
He likes disasters.
He does a lot of disaster stuff, and so he's back. Independence Day, he did. Independence Day 2 was what I talk about that.
Hey.
Anyway,
I like all of those.
His latest one is Moonfall, which I've been eager to see because I'm a fan of Roland Emmerich's work. I was a little hesitant on it because just the premise, but at the same time, I'm all for like over the top, ridiculous sci-fi if they give me some fun stuff to watch.
Yes.
So this latest one, it has Patrick Wilson, Halle Berry. What is that main other guy's name? John Bradley, from Game of Thrones.
Correct.
And it's well, why don't you tell us the premise?
Basically, the moon has gone off its orbit and it is hurtling towards Earth. And because of the whole gravitational pull and gravity in science, as if the moon moves, the waters obviously will come out of the oceans because the moon is what keeps the moon is what keeps the water in place. In case you didn't know that little bit of science, and so they are on a mission to save planet Earth.
Are they on a mission wishing upon a star?
I thought they were on a mission for good nutrition, but they're on a mission to save Le Planet.
Snoop Dogg.
I went into Honey Bunches of Oats.
I went to Snoop Dogg.
All right.
So before we get into details or anything about this movie, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. I thought I guess it kind of did go in the direction I was thinking it was going to be. Like that thing did happen. I think in some parts I was just like, we've kind of seen this whole thing before.
We saw most of it in Independence Day.
I know. So I was really trying. So there were a few moments where I was like, oh, okay, cool. They're on a mission. And I was just working. But then I think towards the end, once we get to the moon and we're trying to stop it and all that, then I was paying attention again.
The first bit of it I felt was very kind of clunky and kind of all over the place. Some of it felt like there were some scenes missing as they were trying to set everything up. Like it felt rushed. Like one character is trying to, like I said, this whole movie really felt like Independence Day. You have the people that have a mission, they have issues with each other. So now you have to bring people together that have issues with each other. You have someone who knows what's going on, but nobody wants to listen to them. And then it's got to be some kind of a space trip to solve everything, but it's a suicide mission and all these. It's all the same crap that happens in there with the opposite. The only difference is there's not a full-on alien invasion fight sequence.
Correct.
There's a different variation, but it's the same thing. It makes me wonder if, since Independence Day 2 did not do well, there was a plan for a third one.
I loved it, by the way.
Yeah, well.
I know. I watch it every Independence Day.
The first one is brilliant. I love the first one.
1 and 2.
The second one I like. I was very disappointed in a lot of elements of it.
Yeah.
But they were supposed to do the third, so it makes me wonder if he retooled it to create this.
Maybe.
Or had we seen this before Independence Day, would this felt more original?
Correct.
But it's coming from the same person.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same writer.
And I think there's one thing that bothers me about the movie, and there's this whole we have the astronauts going to space trying to save the moon or whatever, save Earth, stopping the moon. The other thing is there's this whole second story of the military that kind of gets pushed to the side.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not even important.
Like it is, because the astronauts ladies like don't send out the nukes.
Yeah, it's literally just there to create more friction to the people that are trying to save the place. And that's what I'm saying. That stuff is all the familiar. Like every time know there's going to be a band of people to save stuff, there's going to be a military group saying,
let's just
they can't do it. We're going to destroy it ourselves.
Yeah.
Don't do that. They're still there. They're going to save us. But if they don't, we're all doomed. And it's all, the entire movie is kind of a big cliche. Yeah. But if you step away from that and just watch it for a science fiction spectacle, then once they get to some of the mission stuff and get into space, it's actually enjoyable.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. All kind of the prep, and then I was like, we've seen this, but then once we got into space, I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm watching.
Yeah, it's a fun little sci-fi flick. It's not a great one.
I love me some John Bradley. I like that guy.
He's good. I like seeing him in something that not Game of Thrones like. Yes. And getting, so he has some good comedic drama chops that looked like he was really good at selling everything.
Yeah.
And it kind of bums me out. I don't think the movie did really well. And again, I don't know if it's because of the movie or if it's because of the pandemic. So who knows, being part of the pandemic, it could save it if it does well on Blu-ray. Because Roland Emmerich had mentioned, had it done well, he was going to do 2 more back-to-back.
Oh, wow.
And this movie ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Like, here's the upside, though. It finishes the current story. So if nothing ever happens again,
thank goodness,
you know that there's something else that's out there, but you don't have to see it. Because it could have been, it's kind of a setup of like, what are we going to do now kind of mentality. So it could easily be saying, okay, we're going to fix the problem that caused all this, and then you never need to see it.
Correct.
Or it could be a whole nother story that's
Correct.
bigger. So
Correct.
if we didn't have,
Either way,
I hope it
we can
happens
be
because
happy.
I'd like to see what his vision was. I just don't know if he'll get that kind of money after it getting delayed because of the pandemic and then not doing as well. But it is one you need to see.
I've been liking him. I mean, because he was just in that Jennifer Lopez movie we just saw
Yeah.
too. So I like that we're seeing him more. I mean, he's more than just Sam in the mountain with snow. I mean, he's more than that. And if you go back now, I've seen some pictures from Game. He had such a baby face.
Yeah,
Such
and he was a lot
baby.
bigger. He looks like he's lost some weight.
So, anyways. I liked it. Halle Berry is good, y'all. Halle Berry's been in space so many times.
I don't like saying this phrase anymore after listening to a lot of interviews, but she kind of felt like she was walking through it.
Well, because I was about to say, she's been in space so many times already. She's already saved us.
She did an entire TV series on
yes,
space.
She already knows the extant or whatever it was with the aliens. She knows the drill. So she was there just being Halle Berry, essentially.
Yeah.
Which there's
the one thing that annoyed me was there's a thing at the beginning that's kind of the catalyst to not only what happens later, but the rift between other characters. That none of that made any sense.
Well, yeah, because at one point he's like, hello, and then they just move on.
Well, no, what I'm saying is it doesn't make sense, like the anger behind it, because it's like everybody saw what was happening.
Well,
even though some people got knocked out, they saw it initially, things were going wrong, and then a character dies. It's basically like the opening of Cliffhanger. But the difference is suddenly, like, I understand his issue, but why everybody else is mad at him, like he did something wrong. You know what I mean? When she was there and the other person was there, and they all saw initially what was happening. So that, I hate that kind of stuff that they do that just to create a friction. We could have done the same thing where same thing could have happened. He could have said, I can't handle it, and left, and they hadn't seen each other in years. Yeah. And come back, and we didn't need any of that, because none of it did anything.
It didn't go anywhere, just like that military thing didn't go anywhere. Was really, I mean, there were just few little things here and there were just like, well, that was kind of
for him, which makes sense. Dumb, but again, he's dealing with his kids, he's trying to save them. It's all the same
thing.
Independence Day.
Same thing, but the moon.
But it is one I would recommend. A loud sound system.
Yes.
Big screen if you can. Vibrant. We got to see it on 4K, which
subtitles.
Yeah.
I think the subtitles were necessary just because of the background effect noises. But
now
it wasn't bad.
There were a few effect moments that seemed fake, like background stuff.
Yeah, some of the water scenes,
the flooding and stuff.
Yeah, like where it's swooping in, but then you just see like water on the floor, and I'm like, okay, I get that, but some of the other stuff,
the big dramatic stuff,
was
and also there's somewhere where they were doing backdrop stuff, which was kind of like in Death on the Nile. That opening sequence in the desert looks completely fake.
Yeah, you pan up and it's just like, oh, fake sun painting.
Yeah, this is not. No. But in Death on the Nile, remember, it gets to when they actually are looking at the real desert, it still looks fake at the pyramids and all that. That was my only problem with that movie. The rest of the movie, I really liked. So anyway, that's kind of like
you can see that they built like a little set of rocks for him to climb on, and you can tell he's not at the pyramids. Yeah, anyway, okay. But that movie was good though. If you can ignore that, the mystery is good.
Anyway, I actually enjoyed Moonfall for what it was.
It was fun.
I also went in with very low expectations. If you like science fiction and destruction, there's a lot of that here. It does take a little while for anything to happen, but once we get there,
it's good.
Yeah. He basically took a mix of his sci-fi films, his disaster movies, and slapped them together.
Okay, so Blu-ray, digital, 4K comes out.
It's already out.
Oh, it came out this week. Okay.
I got it late, so yeah.
Go get it. There you go.
All right, moving on.
Next. Okay, we're going this way.
Whatever you want to do. I don't care.
You want to talk about that?
Sure, I will. It's not really a movie.
No, but I want to know.
The next one is actually a new TV series on Netflix. I'm a huge fan of Usagi Chronicles. As a matter of fact, one of my things during the pandemic was I ordered a box set from Amazon that they had.
That became your mission during the pandemic.
Well, yeah, and I bought what I didn't know when I bought this, and this happens to me often. I sometimes get excitable and I don't research how many things come out. So when I bought this initial box set from Amazon for the Usagi Chronicles comic by Stan Sakai, I thought this was the collection.
Yeah.
Right? Now, realizing this was the original Fantagraphics collection, not the Dark Horse stuff they printed for years and years and years. So then I found the other ones. There's like 8 volumes, technically 9 if you count Legends.
Guys.
And I'm like, okay, I'll go buy them. I'll go buy those. They're like $20 a piece or $25 a piece. I didn't know they were out of print. So I spent a year getting every single one of them and did not pay more than cover price for a single one. And I have 3 of them that are not only autographed but rear marked by Stan Sakai, where he drew a picture inside it.
That's nice.
So anyway, So obviously, I'm a huge fan of Usagi Yojimbo. I read the current series. I've read every single one of those graphic novels that I've bought. So I've read the entire run of the character all the way back to the 80s. And so it was very exciting when they announced that Netflix was going to do a Usagi Yojimbo series. Then we got the not so good news that it was not going to be a Usagi Yojimbo series. It was going to be a series called Samurai Rabbit, the Usagi Chronicles. So I was like, what the hell? Now, for those of you that say this looks familiar, I've seen this somewhere before, but I've never read this comic. It's because Usagi Yojimbo has appeared in the Ninja Turtles world many times. He worked at Fantagraphics and Mirage and stuff with Peter Laird, and then they did a lot of crossover. So in the original cartoon, Usagi Yojimbo showed up there. In the cartoon from 2012, whatever year it was, that really good one, he showed up there. He's been in the comics. They've been in his comic. You ask how? He's in feudal Japan. Go read it. I'm not going into that. All right. But it's happened. So anyway, there's the reason this is annoying is not just because it's not the Usagi series I wanted, because it's not. But also, I'm like, okay, if you're going moderately futuristic, there's Space Usagi as well, which is an existing series. So why not do Space Usagi? But for whatever reason, maybe I can only think of that maybe they wanted new content because they were afraid a lot of people might not know who Usagi Yojimbo is.
Maybe.
So they're doing something new for everybody, but also nod to things. So the first 10 episodes of the 10 episode first season has officially hit Netflix. I have watched all 10 episodes in one day.
Of course you did.
I didn't intend to, but they just kept flowing. I will tell you this. I love the show. It is a little kiddie.
Oh, okay.
On some level. So I've seen some people comment that this show is more for kids than it is for, because if the Usagi comic is not a kid's comic, it's not like a adult, parental advisory book, but it's not even though the art looks cartoonish, it's not a kid's comic. It's just anamorphic characters that are in feudal Japan. So you're dealing with real samurais and people getting killed and all this stuff. People die every issue. So, and conspiracies and all this kind of stuff. The new series is basically, this is one of Usagi's direct ancestors.
I see.
This kid who wants to be a samurai, and he's kind of a moderate future. They have some cars and cameras and stuff.
Okay.
And he lives on this little farm, and all he wants to be is a samurai like his ancestor, Usagi. So he ends up, his grandmother's like, yes, I know, and it's all you've thought about. You want to be a samurai, but you got to find a sensei. So she sends him on a journey.
Okay.
Right? Gives him a sword. There was Usagi's sword, apparently, and sends him on his way. And so he gets in there. And
that doesn't seem very safety.
It's not. Okay. Chaos ensues.
Okay.
He goes into this new city, something Neo City, something or other. He goes there, and what's cool about it is periodically throughout the show, when they talk about Usagi or past history or stuff, it has excerpts of this little animation comic art style stuff of Usagi fighting and doing different stuff.
Okay.
So you're getting Usagi in the show, just not the way you want. And he meets up with a whole group of cast characters. One of them is Jin, who's a rhino, which there's a Jin character in the original comic that's a rhino who loses its horn. Mm-hmm. Guess what happens in this show? So they have a lot of the stuff that's similar thing, but it's a different, and they're not necessarily connected that we know of. So as the story progresses in the city where he's at, Usagi Yojimbo is known as a traitor.
Oh.
So his legacy is he's a traitor to this. So now he looks bad too because he's a direct descendant.
I see.
So now they're dealing with supernatural things and all these different things goes on. So it's a fun series. It reminded me a little bit of that Ninja Turtle series from 2012 in animation style. If I'm not mistaken, this entire show was done during lockdown.
Wow. So
they were able to animate it. The animation is good. Like I said, there's a couple elements that felt a little more kiddie style than what I was hoping for, but I'm excited. I like the show. Like I said, what I say to everybody is it's not the show I wanted, but I'm happy this show I got. Something. I got something. I'm a little concerned because I heard Netflix is shutting down all animation. So I don't know if that means we're not getting another season or if it doesn't really have anything to do with it. So I guess we'll find out. But
look at this dog.
Whether you like Usagi Yojimbo, don't know who he is. If you like samurais or martial arts or that kind of stuff, or just animated series, or rabbits carrying swords, whatever you're into, the show has it all. So check out Samurai Rabbit, the Usagi Chronicles, available now on the Netflix.
Okay, so we're just working our way this way then.
We're working our way back to you, babe.
We're working our way. Oh,
this
Lord.
is your crap. I get to take a break from this.
All right, so.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about now.
the 365-day series.
I didn't know this was a series.
It's a series of books, and the new movie has come out this week, which is 365 Days This Day. Both films are available on Netflix if you want to watch them back to back. That's what I did this week. So, it's based on a series of books from Poland.
From Poland?
Poland.
Okay.
And basically it's hailed or touted as the Polish 50 Shades of Grey, essentially is what it is.
Okay.
What they compare it to
Okay,
for
okay.
us that don't know.
Okay, I'll accept that.
The interesting thing is there is no English translation of this book. So to be able to say
is the movie in English?
The movie's in English,
okay.
but the main character is Polish. And so there's a lot of it that is in Polish and there's subtitles. So here's the thing. I gotta kind of break this down for us into some subdivisions. Hold on. So the first movie, according to what people on the interwebs have told us, by going our friends in Poland who have read the book and have attempted to create an English.
Friends in Poland?
Yes, the internet friends.
Oh.
They basically on one of those fan site things kind of gave a rough translation of the book in English, but we don't have one does not exist.
Is this so that y'all can try to see how close to the book it is?
Correct.
Okay.
So the first movie does follow the book very closely, and I can tell.
Is there multiple books?
Yes, there's multiple books. I believe there's 3 or 4 in the series. So we're book number 2, essentially. So the first movie, if you watch it, there's a lot of sex is basically what it is. But there is actually a story that kind of makes sense. He kidnaps this lady because she is the lady that he's been dreaming of. He has a big portrait that he painted of her. And in his dreams, this is the lady he's been envisioning. So one day he sees her. No, he'd never seen her before, but he saw her. So he kidnapped her. And he's like, I'm going to give you 365 days to fall in love with me.
That's this? Okay.
That's this movie.
I know. Howard Stern has talked about this movie.
Gosh. Okay.
Now I know what this movie is. Now I know why it looks kind of familiar and ridiculous all at once.
The people, they're beautiful people. So if you like to see beautiful people in sexy time, this is a movie for you. If you like the 50 Shades of Grey, there's tons of nudity.
Okay, I have a very important question before you go on with this.
Yes.
You keep mentioning 50 Shades of Grey. 50 Shades of Grey is the most unerotic, sexy movie I've ever seen.
This is
no. I'm just saying that movie is the most unsexy movie I've ever seen. That's supposed to be dealing directly, almost exclusively with sex. So does this one actually feel more sexy erotic than?
Yes, it does. Okay. These people are actually very cute, and they seem to have some attraction to each other.
I'm not even talking about the cuteness, because I think
some of this is kind of like seriously, like there were all these rumors after the first movie that they were doing it for real. In the movie, like that's how for real it is.
I got you.
Okay, so the first movie ends on a cliffhanger. We think Laura, the main girl, has been kidnapped or killed or whatever. So then we get into the new one that came out this week on Netflix, 365 Days This Day, and like that whole thing's just going out the window.
What, the first movie?
Like just her, like what happened at the end. It's this huge big cliffhanger. He's like Laura, and then we start this movie and it's like they're back together. They're like living the life. They're at a beach. They're having fun, and we just keep going on and going on. And maybe an hour later, there's a reference to, well, that's why they tried to assassinate her. And I'm like, that's all we're getting?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's exactly what I was saying. Babe, the second movie, according to what the interwebs are saying and our Polish friends, is so far from the book. There is no story in the second movie. It is a little all over the place, and really it's just an excuse to make a little sexy time movie. I don't want to call it a porn.
Is this the current day 9.5 weeks?
Maybe it is. This movie
all movies that have numbers in them are usually about sex.
This movie was just an excuse to film these two beautiful people having the sexies. Okay, because supposedly the actual story of the second book is where we picked up where we left off. We find out there's some enemies. Then we go through a rival the gang or whatever. He's also he's like a mafia kind of person.
Mm.
We find out a rival group steals the woman and he's trying to get her back. But in this one, man, they're getting married. She goes off with this other guy. He's with his ex, and then they're gonna go save each other.
Should this be announced as spoilers, or
no?
Do you even care?
I don't care, because the people who are gonna watch this are gonna watch this for the sexy time, not the stories.
Is that what you watched it for?
No, I wanted to see what happened to her. Did she die? Did she not?
So is there another movie?
There's gonna be another one, I think, because it is popular. People on the Netflix are loving this. It's on the top 10, I believe. So just know.
Is this like what is that other movie that they made, the girlfriend or something? Kissing Booth. This is like the new Kissing Booth for Netflix.
For Howard Stern, probably.
The adult Kissing Booth movie series.
The issue with this is there is no story. The first one actually had a story with Sexy Time. The second movie is Sexy Time with very limited story, a couple of one-line references to what happened in the first movie, and it's like it's forgotten. They just wanted an excuse to make a movie with these two beautiful people. So, I mean, if you're into erotica, I guess, or you're into... No, because that's what it is, that whole line of novels and all that, and you want to see sexy Massimo and cute Laura doing it, this is the movie for you. I don't know who any of those
people are, but okay.
That guy's cute. His name's Massimo in the movie. I don't know what his real name is.
How dare you say that to me?
But again, rumors are flying that they were actually doing it for real. Because a lot of stuff they're doing, I don't know how they would have filmed that without it.
I was like, say you didn't understand how they did it. And I'm like, would you like me to show you?
No, babe. I understand that part. I'm just saying, I don't know. People are infatuated.
Your peep groups watch this movie?
They were going to watch it and get back to me.
Did they watch the first one?
Yes, one had and one had not.
Oh.
No, not necessarily.
Which one had watched it?
I'll tell you later.
Was it the Indian?
Yes.
I figured she seemed to watch she watched that.
But I guess I'm disappointed that there wasn't a story. But I guess that's how a lot of erotic, sexy movies are. There's no story. So I'm the nerd over here.
Let me tell you about the porn industry.
Yeah, I'm over here trying to follow the story of like this poor woman, and is she okay? And suddenly they're just together chilling out. Like, hey, let's be married. Let's be happy. But I don't know, guys. No, there's a lot more going on in the movie. I didn't really spoil it.
Fair enough.
Because you know that in the trailer.
I don't care. I was just asking.
Yeah, it's just, I don't even know.
Moving on, I guess. And they're both available on Netflix?
They are both available on the Netflix. And one person's like, one of the worst movies I've ever screened. There's probably 10 lines of actual script and plot. And the rest, sexy time. Which is what I was saying.
Fair enough.
All right. It's available now on Netflix.
Okay.
We're just going this way now. Is that okay, or you want to go here?
Okay. This is all you. I can talk about it a little bit at the beginning.
Okay.
So the next one is the latest adaptation of Cyrano de Bergerac, not to be confused with Burt Bacharach,
which I do like.
And it's a movie with Peter Dinklage.
Love him.
And if I'm not mistaken, his wife wrote this. I think he did the stage production. I believe she did.
Based on the play.
I believe she wrote the screenplay, or I don't know if it was the stage version or the movie version. But I want to say I was listening to one of the interviews he did. It was talking about her involvement. It is a musical.
It is a musical.
I didn't finish it. Not for any other reason as the day we were watching it together, we had to leave to go do something. And then I got behind, so I just never finished it. You finally finished it.
Yes.
So I only saw for maybe, 30 minutes of it?
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw of it was fine. Peter Dinklage was awesome.
Yeah, he's
Peter
pretty
Dinklage
good.
is always awesome.
He's always awesome.
And I saw there was some cool fight scenes and stuff, and he handled the fight scenes really well. They were well choreographed. But I didn't get to dive deep into it, so I'm not going to comment on the film itself. I'm going to let you do that because you finished it.
I did.
And what do you think, ma'am?
It was a good movie. So I think at the beginning we might have been distracted a little because we were doing stuff and we had to go somewhere and all that. But then I get into it. And I think once we actually get to the little love triangle is when the action finally picks up and it becomes a really interesting story. So if you're not familiar with the Cyrano movie or you've never seen Roxanne, how's that possible?
I'm pretty sure there's a lot.
Basically, it's the story of a man who's in love with a lady, but because of his physical appearance, he doesn't feel comfortable talking to her. He's like, she's never going to love me because I'm different.
Yeah, and every variation they've done something different with his appearance. Like Roxanne, he had a big, gigantic nose.
He had a bit like super long.
Obviously, in this one, they're just using that Peter Dinklage is a little person. I don't know is that the proper term now?
Correct. Okay. Like, why would she love me?
Yeah, kind of like his Game of Thrones character, where they made him kind of the freak character by his size. But understanding in the book, he was more deformed.
Correct.
But one thing I like about Peter Dinklage anyway is he doesn't take on roles that are stereotyped for little people, and he can carry himself alongside anybody. As really, I think he's one of the best actors of this generation right now.
Because he doesn't do just like little people roles. He does roles.
He does not do little people roles.
Correct.
He does roles.
He does roles.
He is an actor, and he's not taking on. I think there's maybe one time I think he played. I think he was in the Underdog movie, and he played. Oh my God, the bad guy character. I forgot his character. Anyway, I think he played him, but it still wasn't a little people role. It was just kind of a thing. But I think that totally going off the rails. I think the best, the most ironic role he's ever played is when he played the giant in Thor.
Yes.
Oh, no, not Thor. Endgame.
Endgame.
Yeah.
So good. Anyhow.
No, Infinity War.
Whatever the.
It was Infinity War, not Endgame.
The last one.
Yeah. No, it was the one before that.
The one before.
Yeah. Anyway,
I just watched those this week.
Yeah.
Anyways, so basically, he's in love with the lady, doesn't feel comfortable talking to her. Well, then one of his friends falls in love with her too. So he becomes the voice behind his friend because the friend is a simple man. But Cyrano has so much love and great words to say. He's also
like an actor and a writer.
Yeah, so he stands behind the wall and tells the guy what to say. And so that's how kind of the little love triangle comes about. Okay, so in this version, some of the things I did like is we had Peter Dinklage with no deformities. He's just a little person in a big, big world.
But also in that time period, he was probably
correct.
Somebody like that would have been looked down upon.
And the other thing I like is that we have the other main guy. What's his name? Alex, I think.
Kevin Harrison Jr.?
Yes. Christian is his name in the movie. Christian. I don't know where I got Alex. He's a black man, but we don't say anything about that, which I love because as is normal in theater, you cast everyone. It's always typically open to anyone unless it's a very specific role. But even so nowadays, you just cast the character and it doesn't matter that he was black or purple or green or blue. He's just a guy who's in love with her. And I like that we didn't make an issue of it, especially for the time period of the movie. He's just another soldier like everybody else, and he falls in love with the girl. So after you stopped watching, it got really good. Of course, there's the mean guy that also wants the lady, but he doesn't love her. He just wants to possess her for property,
I just remember who that kid is.
Oh, yeah?
He's the guy that's in that movie Waves. He's the kid, the football star.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Okay. Well, he didn't have hair in that movie. And he did
have hair in that movie. It was that blonde hair, but either way.
Well, this guy's got the full beard and he's grown now. Anyways, that's such a good movie. Check out Waves. So good.
It's a depressing movie.
But it's good and it's visually amazing. Yeah. And the sound. Anyways, so this one, once we get into the story and the guys are they all get separated and everything, to me, it became so much more impactful and the songs were so good. Like the love songs where Cyrano's professing her love to, his love to her, but she thinks it's Christian. And then there's another point where they go off to war. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it shifts from them and it shifts to a scene with the soldiers. And the whole soldiers are like singing like, "Don't cry for me. Heaven is where I die, on the ground where I lie." And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like so sad.
Remember, he also sang in that movie The High Note. That was him as the Tracy Ellis Ross's son, I think it is, with Dakota Johnson, where there's like the singer. He sings in that too. He sings in that.
So this whole movie is just, at the end, it got really emotional and kind of sad. And it's just one of those sad stories of love and loss, and when you miss your opportunity,
you only get one shot.
Eminem told us you only get one shot, but the other movie says you actually get two.
Right.
So,
such confusing messages in movies.
Do I only get one shot or do I get two chances?
Or you get 3 wishes.
I know, but no more than that. that's the industry standard, you know. So it's about just that strange timing of love, and I think
Yeah.
that can happen, you
So
know, where you just
now I know
miss
you were
it.
saying like when we started watching it, or no, we paused it and we talked about finishing it. You're just like, eh. I know it's a sad, depressing story. So did you end up liking it
I
more
did
than you
end up
thought you were going
liking it.
to?
The second half, like I told you, once we get really involved in the, she thinks it's Christian, and the other guy standing behind the wall, and then the whole love song erupts. Oh my gosh, it's so emotional because Peter Dinklage is like over here crying and singing about how much he loves her, and the other guy is just like mouthing the words, not even doing anything, and I'm just like, ah, you know,
So what did you think of? So speaking of music. We have to talk about this because
yes.
Peter Dinklage is one that's um, very vocal about. I'm not a singer. He goes, I'm not a good singer at
Oh, he
all.
is a good singer.
So what did you? I was going to say,
He's a
what did you
very
think?
good singer. He sings very low. Goodness.
Yeah, because he performed. I gave him props. I think I played it for you. He performed it live on Kimmel or no on Fallon. I
It
believe it
was
was.
good. He's very good singer. They're all very good singers. Um, yeah, they were
Yeah,
good.
that's his wife. She's the one that wrote the screenplay.
Yes, and she was involved in the stage production, I believe.
Yeah.
She. Anyways, he's very good. Everybody did a really good job in this movie, and I think it is worth a try. You know, I think the beginning was a little slow, but once the love story really takes hold, and suddenly everyone gets separated, then it's really pulling on the heartstrings of like what's going to happen. Are they going to end up together? Is everybody going to end up alone? Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so I'm telling you, the saddest song were these soldiers at war, and just, you know, tell no one, tell everybody, don't cry for me. Oh, I was like, oh, I'm gonna cry for you right now because you're getting me in the feels.
Hmm.
So, anywho, it's a really good movie. I think you should check it out.
And they've been married since 2005, and they have 2 children together.
Oh, that's so sweet. I wonder, are they normal sized children or are they little children?
I've seen pictures. I think one of his children, at least, was a little person.
Because that it just happens. It's in the
Sometimes I
genes.
believe. I remember I've seen
I have
pictures
to
with
ask.
him with his kid walking around. You know,
That's
paparazzi crap before.
cute.
But anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, I just
So anyway,
wondering.
that movie is available. I'm sorry, were you done with that?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
done.
Cyrano is available on
Oh,
Blu-ray and DVD
it
now.
is. I have it right here. It's available now. You should check this out. It is really good.
I may go back and finish it.
And the sets and the costumes are great because I believe we're in French Revolutionary times. So good. Oh, it says right here, the timeless, heartbreaking love triangle. It is heartbreaking and timeless. Aw. It got good at the end, babe. You got to watch
I'll
it.
probably finish it because I love Peter Dinklage. That's the only reason I was interested. Because I'm not
Check it.
interested. I'm not a big
Check.
fan of the Cyrano de Bergerac story art.
Did you like Roxanne?
Roxanne's good because it's fucking
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin's a
He's
genius.
funny.
He's a comedic genius.
And that nose is ridiculous.
It
It is
is.
beyond
That's
ridiculous.
what makes it work. Is because it's so ridiculous.
So out there. Okay.
Anyways,
next.
moving on. This is all you again.
Oh my gosh, I'm talking so much. We are now talking about the 4K release of Singing in the Rain.
What some consider to be the greatest musical of all time.
Well, I'm about to tell you, buddy, this movie is classic. If you have not,
I have never seen that movie all the way through.
We're gonna watch it.
No, we're not.
Here's the thing you got to know about Singing in the Rain. Classic. And also, they don't make musicals like this anymore. This is also a musical.
They don't make what?
Musicals like
That's
this.
not what I heard.
What did you What did you hear?
I heard.
Oh no, is it something gross?
It makes no sense to what we're talking about. It has no bearing to what we're talking about, which is why I didn't comment. But at the same time, I was about to start cracking up because I knew that's not what could not have been what you just said. But it sounded like they don't make nipples like this anymore.
Musicals. Wow. Okay.
I'm like, you sure don't make nipples like this anymore.
Wow. Okay. So this is okay. Remember back in the day? Did you ever watch old musicals in the 50s and 60s? So this is in the 50s.
I hate musicals.
They have the most gigantic big sets because they used full stages.
Yeah.
Full stages.
I am a fan of old Hollywood.
Okay.
Of how they shot on sound stages and big production stages.
Oh my gosh. So there's like one scene where it's just Gene Kelly and a ballerina, and it's like a 3-stepped stage, but it's like so big and long and massive. And you just see 2 people and she's twirling and stuff and he's dancing around her. It's like huge and epic for like no reason for just 2 people.
Yeah.
Like they would not do that now. And there's this one whole scene where it's Gene Kelly, and it's Gene Kelly, Debbie Reynolds, and Donald O'Connor are your main 3 people. So Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds are on this stage, and he's setting the stage, and he's like, I would turn on this light, and I would do this, and I put this here in the middle. He's like, stand here. And then suddenly the whole thing opens, and it's just a massive stage where they're just singing the most beautiful love song, and it's like tears and crying because it's so emotional and big, babe. Anyways, essentially the story is Gene Kelly and this other lady. I don't even remember her name now, but her name's like Lauren or something.
Did we even say why we're talking about this?
Oh, yeah, that's the new 4K release.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry. So it's Gene Kelly's Dawn Lockwood, and the other character is called Lena Lamont. So it's the Lockwood-Lamont combo, and they do all the romantic movies that are the big hits of the time, okay? But they're silent movies. And suddenly talkies start coming out. Well, and they're like, okay, so now Lockwood and Lamont are now going to start talking and singing, except the lady cannot sing, and she has one of these voices. It's like, oh my gosh. And they're like, what are we going to do? There's no way she can be in a movie, because they do a test audience and people are just cracking up. So in comes Debbie Reynolds' character, who ends up being the voice of the character in the silent movies. Well, then one day they asked the lady to actually speak and sing, and she can't do it because she has the crazy little voice like this. Anyway, so that's basically the story. Debbie Reynolds and Gene Kelly fall in love, blah, blah, blah. There's your story. The thing you need to know, guys, is this is amazing. It's awesome. You must watch it. Gene Kelly.
I've attempted to watch this movie. I can't get through it.
And Donald O'Connor dancing together are amazing because they're like... Yeah. With their little tap dancing shoes. You can't see me. I'm tap dancing, but because I'm an excellent tap dancer.
Pretty sure she's not.
I'm not. I can fake
they have a tap
dance.
dancing class at the center.
Do they?
It's right after my class on Monday.
Oh, I should go, because in one of my shows I had to tap dance, so I fake tap danced. They showed me enough just to kind of fake it. Anyways, it's a classic. It is amazing. The sets are amazing. The costumes amazing. Just the amount of people that are in this production. Crazy, over the top.
Well, that wasn't unheard of back then, because if you look at a lot of the old westerns,
so big,
they always had these big epic casts, and you look
Epics,
at Ben-Hur, and you look at things Spartacus and all these things. They didn't do a lot of or really any.
There was no CGing. They did it for real.
They had to have a bunch of
extras. Spartacus, they had it for real.
They had they had to have a bunch of actors, and then they would do matte paintings for backgrounds and things like this to make it work.
This thing, you're on a full stage with like 100 people dancing in their umbrellas, and it's like really happening, and they are on time. Like, these people were professional.
I hope they're on time, because there was a budgeting.
No, I'm just saying, there was no let's do it again. Like, everything was perfect. So if you want to watch a musical where everything, the singing and the dancing is on point, this is it. This is the classic standard of, I think, everything.
And why is this important that it's out again?
Because it is the 4K release, buddy.
I believe it's the 50th anniversary.
And the 50th anniversary.
So they're putting the 4K.
Because it was
70th, excuse me.
Oh, 70, because 70th. It was in 52.
Yeah.
So this is 22.
But it has the digital. It's got some bonus features. And so did
the
4K. Well, you didn't watch it on 4K, did you?
I didn't. I watched it in mine.
Well, do you think the 4K would do it justice?
Well, yeah, because just the colors are so vibrant.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
It's so
it's not typically
colorful.
a movie that I would have expected. But why does his feet look so small? Does he have little tiny baby feet?
I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe that's why he could dance so well.
Who knows? Anyway. But Singing in the Rain is available now. And if you're a fan of Singing in the Rain or have never seen Singing in the Rain, we're also giving away a copy of this on our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com. You need to watch it at least once, babe. Singing in the Rain.
I've tried watching it. Over
good
years.
Morning. Good morning.
I know a lot of stuff from it.
Okay.
I have issues with musicals. I'll watch them, but I'm very picky on them because I need the music to have a purpose in the movie. I don't like musicals when people just start having conversations and start singing.
Okay, no, this one is the music moses are productions
right.
inside a movie that's being made.
I get that. So
I think you would like
that kind of part of the musical part of it is fine. I don't know. For whatever reason, I've tried watching the movie a couple times and I get to it and I'm like, ugh.
You don't know what's good for you.
Is that what it is? It's insult me for no reason, but okay. All right, what's next?
Okay, you should watch it. Okay, next.
Our last one is another one, brand new film.
This came out this week.
As everybody knows, we are fans of all things Liam Neeson, despite the fact that a lot of his things that have been coming out lately were at best. His latest film.
You don't know.
Huh?
You don't know.
Yes, I do. His latest film is Memory, yet another action thriller kind of movie. A little different than a lot of the stuff that's come out recently. But one of the things that gave me a little more hope was outside of it being Liam Neeson. Had a great cast with the always good, awesome Guy Pearce, who I love, and I don't think we see enough.
You're so funny. You're like, Guy Pearce should do more things.
Guy Pearce should be in everything. I love Guy Pearce. Of course, it also had Monica Bellucci, which I won't hold that against it. But it was also directed by Martin Campbell, who directed The Mask of Zorro, Casino Royale, The Foreigner, and recently he did The Protege.
Yes.
Do you even know what The Protege is?
Yes, it's the one with what's her name and Bruce Willis.
No.
No?
It's Protege is the one with Maggie Q and Michael Keaton.
That's what I meant. That's exactly what I meant. The same movie. Same movie, wrong people. But that's classic.
Anyway, so I was a little more excited for this one than I've been for the last few Liam Neeson ones. Like
Sorry.
Blacklight that just came to Blu-ray, we've talked about on this show, was okay.
Yeah.
His Marksman movie I thought was actually really good. The one with him and the kid on the border, and that was one of the better.
That one was good.
So we dive into this one. This one's basically about an assassin who is supposed to go kill people. He starts struggling with having memory loss. But he also is sent on a mission that violates his code that was supposed to kill a kid or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he refuses.
He's like, I don't do that.
Which is one of those things, if you deal with an assassin, they refuse a job and now other people have to get them.
Yeah.
This one also kind of loosely takes on the world of trafficking, border control, corruption in police departments.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything is kind of thrown in there without being really preachy. So he's dealing with his people he deals with. You're dealing with a cop who's trying to save somebody and who's involved, trying to hunt down who murdered somebody. He's kind of involved, but not. And then you have another officer who's trying to do it his own way of justice, and kind of a compact of a lot of everything.
Yeah.
So what did you think of this film?
I thought it was fine. I feel like a couple of times we kind of just like skipped to something, like we skipped ahead to something.
Yeah, it felt choppy.
And they were choppy. Thank you. And I don't know if we were missing something got cut for time or what. Eventually you get a kind of full story, but it's just choppy. And then I was like, well, maybe that was on purpose to be indicative of the memory loss issues that are happening with him. Like maybe he doesn't remember, so we just skip ahead. I don't know. There's just a few moments like that were kind of like weird for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things that has some great moments in it. There's like a great sequence of Guy Pearce fighting a guy and flying out a window, and there's some decent kills and some kind of badassery, if you will. This is a little bit different. Liam Neeson's version of this character we've been watching in play since Taken. You know, he reinvented himself when Taken was a massive hit.
Yep.
And a lot of people I've been hearing is like, he's run this into the dirt. But I'm like, if you found a niche that's working, you might as well do it. And I also think he's taking a lot of flack because the comments he made that one time, the racial-related comments that he made about, I'm not going to rehash the whole thing, but he wasn't being racist, but he said something about his past and somebody he knows that got raped, and the whole situation that a lot of people turned on him. Wow. So it makes me wonder if that's hurt some of his box office stuff. He also is like 70 years old, and I don't think he gives a crap.
I don't think he cares at this point.
Although he did recently say that he would be willing to return as Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well, that would be cool because.
But he said
he'd have to be Ghost Qui-Gon, right?
He would, but he also said it would have to be in a film. He goes, because I'm kind of a TV snob. I don't really want to do TV. So I'm like, more power to you, my friend.
Hey, he knows what he wants.
But anyway,
although TV's where it's at right now, series is.
It is, but there's a lot
TV.
of them that are still just very. I'm a movie. I don't want to do TV, and I respect that.
That's fine.
But I don't think he really has to. He's not.
I don't think he needs to do anything.
But yeah, so this one, as like you, it kind of limps along initially. Once it kind of gets more into the depth of the story, it's a little more exciting and interesting. But it never really gets out of average.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Correct. I mean, and even at the end, you were like, what happened? I fell asleep.
Well, I dozed off because it was late. It wasn't because I was bored. I just dozed off, and then I didn't go back to watch because I had a a limited
well, and
screening
even at the
link
end,
and-
it leaves you kind of hanging. I mean, I told you what happened with that one thing, but
Yeah.
then it leaves you hanging in a way. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of elements that felt out of place, and I think it goes back to like you were saying, is like we were missing something, and that could have been something with the editing, or it could have been on purpose.
Could have been on
as
purpose.
you're saying, with flow, but it didn't flow
Like
clear enough to
is-
make you
is
understand.
he missing
oh,
time and things, so we're missing it too.
Yeah, and it never really gave you that moment where you realize, oh, that's why this is confusing us
It-
because
it's-
we're having his issue.
It's no Memento or whatever.
Well, and this has a lot of hints of Memento style world, and ironically, Guy Pearce, who starred in Memento, is in this film. If you've never seen Memento, that movie is
you
brilliant.
need to watch. It's excellent.
It's Christopher Nolan,
And I don't often say movies are excellent, but that one's
Memento
excellent.
is excellent.
Yeah, so
if you've never seen it, check it out.
yeah, it's too bad. I guess I was anticipating more. I guess I keep anticipating everything to be the next Taken.
Yeah, and
it's not going to be.
No. I actually, this I think
okay.
is one of his better performances in these kind of films, just because he had a lot to deal with not only doing the action stuff, but dealing with the memory issues and the confusion. And I think this was one of the first ones, while outside of the Marksman, they got to allowed him to kind of get a deeper character than just here's another character who's going to kill people.
Yeah,
like the Blacklight, the last one that came out, the movie was okay, but it's the same one we've seen a billion times.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps getting these assassin, agent, whatever roles now.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't fault him for that, man. If you found a niche and people are going to keep hiring and paying you,
yeah,
especially at 70-something years old, and you can keep churning out movies like that, then by all means, I would take them too.
Yeah. And what was the one where with the airplane crash and the wolves?
Oh, The Gray. That movie's so good.
That is a good movie.
Yeah, that was around the Taken time. That
Correct.
Was when he was still on the height of Taken.
Maybe when he was in the 60s.
Because
he could move more.
Well, he did Taken, and then he suddenly started doing these kind of movies. So The Gray came along during that time.
That's a good movie.
There was a couple other ones that were in like the Tombstone whatever movie that happened, and there's been a few of them that were good. There's been a few that were clunkers. There's been more often than not. A lot of them in the last couple of years have been more average. None of them have been bad.
They're not been bad. He does a good job.
I think if you're a fan of his, it's.
I'm a fan.
Decent. Oh, and my very exciting statement he made. I don't think it'll ever happen, but man, I was so excited to hear him say this, and maybe it's because of his age. He's thinking of the nostalgia and how everything's getting remakes or reboots or sequels or whatever. He even said that he would be interesting to read a script to return as Darkman.
What's that?
You've never seen Darkman?
No, have I not?
Oh
when
my goodness.
Was this?
Darkman was a movie by Sam Raimi.
I'm going back in time here.
Where this was a Liam Neeson. There was a lesser known Liam Neeson. He was famous, but he wasn't box office draw Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
It's a superhero flick where he plays this guy who, like a scientist that gets blown up or whatever, but he creates this technology that makes he's able to disguise himself, but it slowly runs out. And so he puts it on, but then eventually he's got to change it out.
Yeah,
so he's wearing bandages all the time. And they did 3 Darkman movies, but only one had Liam Neeson. The guy from The Mummy played him in the second 2 movies.
What is your favorite Liam Neeson movie?
Krull.
Really?
He's in that movie, but that's again another.
He's been working forever.
Yeah, that's Krull. What year did Krull come out?
My first thing was his very first movie. We watched it at church.
I forgot he's in Excalibur. See, there's Krull, 1983.
Wow. I like that. I like The Gray. Of course, all the Takens, and then the one where he grows the tomatoes. The assassin growing the tomatoes. I have the Gun Shy. The most ridiculous.
Next of Kin is one of those that I don't remember if it's a good movie or not, but I always remember watching it. That was one where he's like
Schindler's List. Come on.
That's one where he's like a hillbilly, something or other, and runs around killing people, or he's going for revenge or whatever.
Anyways,
he was brilliant in Gangs of New York.
I think if you love Liam Neeson, you're gonna enjoy it. Just know it's a little choppy in some places. It's fine. It ends fine. I mean,
he was great in Batman Begins.
There you go.
Card.
Anyhow, check it.
Anyway,
check 1, 2.
I like him as Aslan, the lion, and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Narnia, whatever the hell they
essentially kind of like the voice of God there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
check
it out.
Yeah, it's in theaters now. I don't think it's streaming or anything, so check it out.
Go.
Like
Eat some popcorn.
It's average. It's nothing.
Eat some popcorn and have fun.
Yeah, it's a Liam Neeson movie. That's what it is.
Okay.
All right.
Well, tell me what you got going on over there.
Not a big week this week for the Blu-rays and whatnot. Huh?
We are in May, friends.
I know, we're in a new month. Blacklight, that I just mentioned, the Liam Neeson movie coming out this week. Turning Red, that we mentioned earlier as well, is getting the Blu-ray 4K treatment. It's already on Disney+. Smoking Aces, which is a great movie, is getting the 4K release. Without Remorse, the Michael B. Jordan movie that was on Amazon, where he plays like the spy or whatever. Yeah. It's a great movie. And it was clearly set up to be a franchise. But again, being on Amazon and being during the pandemic, I don't know if we're getting another one or not. And then the DC Showcase, Constantine, the House of Mystery, animated feature, which we'll talk about next week, is coming out, which I believe was if I'm not mistaken, DC put out a lot of these little mini animated flicks that were always attached on releases of other stuff. I think that's what this is. I think this is, and it's a few other ones attached of it that they kind of work together.
Collected. Well, I want to watch that.
So it might be stuff that was already released before, but I don't know for sure. But we'll talk about it then. That's all really the big stuff coming out.
Oh wow.
Nothing major.
Okay.
What you got?
So coming out this week on Thursday, coming to HBO Max is a new series. It's a limited series called The Staircase. It's based on the true story of a man that is accused in the murder of his wife, even though he says she just fell down the stairs. I'm bringing it up because there are so many good people on this. Colin Firth, Sophie Turner, Patrick Schwarzenegger, Harrison Ford, Parker Posey, Toni Collette, a bunch of people in this HBO series. So if you have HBO, check it out. It starts on Thursday. Coming out on Friday, coming to Netflix, there is a new Marmaduke cartoon. So that'll be kind of cute.
What's he look like? I didn't know what he looks like.
It looks a little Scooby-Doo-ish animation.
It's like CGI animation or
kind
straight
of
drawing?
I don't know.
Like classic.
Let's look. I don't want to lose that
Sorry.
page. Oh,
like
it's blended in the real world. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but we'll give it.
I'm not a big Marmaduke fan.
Coming out on video, demand, and digital, a movie called Anais in Love. It's a young woman who
falls... said anal.
No, a young woman that falls in love and has a passionate affair.
I was going to say, honey, stop trying to make it sound fancier.
Okay, and then that's kind of it. And then the big thing of the week, I guess nobody else wanted to come out on the same day, is basically
I'm pretty sure they did.
The smart thing to do. The new movie, Dr. Madness and the Multitude of Strange. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
I like your name better. Dr. Madness in the Multiverse of Strange.
We've been preparing. We watched the first Doctor Strange movie. I watched Avengers, the last two.
I did watch those
what's
two.
that?
Infinity War and
Endgame. And now we're going to watch the new Spider-Man. So we're preparing ourselves. I'd like to go back and watch the animated What If, the episodes with Doctor Strange, because that was crazy. I feel like it plays. I don't know. I think everything's going to all come together. WandaVision comes together. Everything's coming together in this multiverse.
Loki will probably be part of this because it was part of it was telling you about the time in the multiverse.
Yeah.
It seems like those two series were directly connected to this, and then leading into the Spider-Man, and then leading into this. And I have some concerns, not about the movie, but about the story, maintaining this nonsense. Like, I'm going to say a quick version. We'll talk about it next week, but I hope this is the last film we do that deals with a big, heavy chunk of multiverse crap. Because I'm ready to see this characters like Thor looks like it's going to go back to
just him on
regular storyline. I want to see adventures with Thor. I want to see adventures with Guardians of the Galaxy. I want to see adventures with Spider-Man. And then you can do a movie and bring them together. But I don't need every single thing to be everybody.
I know, and it's difficult because even going back and watching those two Avengers, when they have to go back and find the stones, it's like you kind of have to remember what was happening in the other movie.
Yeah.
When they go back.
Well, that's what was genius about how they did that. But that's also because all the characters were by themselves and then met for the Avengers. In the first Avengers movie, we meet them for the first time together. It's not, now they exist in the comics. They have big epic crossovers every year in the companies. But the rest of the year,
they do their own thing.
Mostly it's their individual stories. Yes, you can have Captain America show up in Spider-Man and run around for a little bit. I'm fine with that kind of thing. I just don't want everything that has to be part of everything else.
Everybody has to have a team up.
But I have a theory of the purpose behind this movie, which is pretty much everybody else's theory of the connection of how to bring in the X-Men, how to bring in Fantastic Four, all the stuff.
That makes sense.
All the stuff owned by Fox.
Yeah.
And also how to kind of reset up some new things. So it'll be interesting.
We'll
We'll see.
see.
We're seeing it on Monday, so we'll see what happens.
But I am happy we're preparing because I feel like I have to prepare to get back into it.
The other thing I forgot to mention that I really, really highly recommend, I want people to check out. It's a new series, limited series, whatever you want to call it, on Paramount Plus called The Offer, which I'm not going to go into all of it, but it's a story about the making of The Godfather and everything that went into it, the mafia's involvement, the directors, the producer, Bob Evans, and Francis Ford Coppola, and all these people, and they're dealing with that. So it's been, the first 3 episodes are up on Paramount Plus now. It's really, really, really good. I highly recommend it.
Okay, we'll put a link in here into the chat in case anybody wants to.
So it's my turn again on the giveaways.
Yep.
I'm not even going to go through all the giveaways this time because we only have one new one.
Yeah.
Singing in the Rain, which I just told you. If the other ones are still up, we still have a couple of copies left, but those will be ending because I do have some others I know that are on their way. They're just not here yet. And I don't post them until they get here, which is why I don't update them sometimes. If you still see it on the screen, don't hesitate to enter because
it's still there.
I got one new one today. It's a new horror flick that I need to look at its release date. Like I said, we have the Singing in the Rain that's just been added. I think the Batman may be coming. The dog may be coming with Channing Tatum and a couple of others.
Which was a good movie.
So
I enjoyed it.
Anyway, hopefully those will be coming here soon.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for watching Hollywood Matrimony Live. Don't forget to find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube's. I'm saying El YouTube, like my dad would say, El YouTube y El Facebook. We're at HollywoodMatrimony.com. Check out the contest button.
Peace and love. We'll be here next Sunday.
Peace be with you, my friends.
Maybe. In theory, we'll be here next Sunday.
If the Lord permits us to be alive.
It is Mother's Day, so we'll see what's going on. But
yeah, I think we should be back. I mean, I'm going to have lunch. What are you doing with your mom?
No, I don't know. Right now, I'm still planning to teach class.
Oh, well, I
call my mom every single day.
So I'll be back by
I talk to my mother every single day.
I know you do.
We don't need to have a special Mother's Day.
All right, well.
We don't get a Son's Day.
Okay, peace be with you.